What's up everybody, welcome back to a new video. Now, this video is actually an update on the Genesis deck rule for Bakugan. I actually decided to make a little bit more of a complete set of rules instead of just throwing them like this out in the world. I wanted to make them for a while now, but I didn't have the time or my head was occupied with something else. So I decided to actually make them today and I'm gonna share them with you right now. So, the general rules are separate in two different formats. The first one being the generic basic rules that are actually pretty much equal to the original game. And the second one are the general rules that can only be used with the Genesis deck. Now, I know that not everybody has the Genesis card like I have, because not everybody has the actual either contact with the people or ways of being able to create those cards with the same way that I did. So I'm sorry about that. If you ever want to use my deck, there's no problem there, but you have to follow the rules to the T. So let's go with the generic basic rules, as I like to call them. The first one has to do with the field. Now, when you do a game TCG versus Genesis, you need to follow these special rules because they are no longer as chaotic as usual. Normally, like I said, you would set up your field with the Bakugans. Since you have a team of 3 Bakugan and your opponent has 3 Bakugan, you set up 6 Bakugan on the field. Now, since this type of ruling followed the original version of the television series Bakugan, you actually need to use the gate cards, the metal gate cards. And like I said before in my video, you need to use the icon as they are listed on your Bakugan cards as well. But these are the cards that I use during this battle. And technically, yes, I will set my 6 gate card and my opponent will set his 6 Bakugan, so we have one big field. He cannot set them on my gate card, he has to set them on the side of my gate card like normally would happen with the Bakugans. Following the rules of the field is the rules of the Bakugan. Now, as my opponent has a full-on team of 3 Bakugan, that's the actual precise thing, this ruling has to do with TCG versus Genesis, not Genesis versus Bakugan, just TCG versus Genesis. So you need a full team of 3 Bakugan versus my team of Bakugan to be able to play this game. Plus, since the fact that my deck is the Genesis deck, the only Bakugan I'm allowed to use is these two. The Genesis Bakugan that represent the 6 faction in the same time. Genesis Wrath and Genesis Dragonoid. The third basic rule, is deck function. Now, the deck function for the normal TCG is that you take a card from your hand and you energize it. The other rules is you have flip card to stop damage to happen. This deck doesn't have any of those. I don't need to energize any of my card, and I cannot cancel a damage. I can nullify the amount of power that my opponent has to make sure that I don't get any damage, but I cannot cancel a damage calculation. So, normally in a deck of Bakugan, the TCG player will have a card that he put like this to energize and then flip it like this to use the energy to actually activate the ability of his card. I don't have that. My cards are purely just you activate them with the stat that they goes with. The fourth rule is the way to win. Now, the way to win is pretty easy because pretty simple because it's the same as the normal game goes. The idea is to deck out your opponent, dealing enough damage to make sure that he doesn't have any card left in his deck. But with this game comes another way of winning, which I'm going to explain with the general Genesis rules. The general Genesis rule starts with the fact that you need to open the field of battle. Like normally they would do in the first series, you use the open field card to activate the start of the game by putting it into the hero zone on the field. By activating the Field Open card, you also activate at the same time the Doom card. The Doom card, like its name says, creates a Doom dimension where your Bakugan that lost a battle goes into to perish for eternity, and can no longer be used for the rest of the game, so it's considered like removed from play. This card could actually be quite damage, kind of a big damage for your opponent, especially if he uses a team of 3 Bakugan, since now your opponent no longer has access to the team attack of 3 Bakugan. Although, there's something that you need to know. A Bakugan can be revived from the Doom Dimension if you possess the right card to be able to do it. That's a fact. You need to have a special revive card that says you can call back a Bakugan that was removed from play back into your team. But that's the thing though. The card will activate and will make sure that the Bakugan return to your team. Not the team of your opponent, yours. So let's say that I have 2 Bakugan. With that, I will access to a 3rd Bakugan, be able to do team attack against my opponent. I will not be able to activate any of my ability with the Bakugan since it's not a Genesis Bakugan, but I will be able to activate my ability on my other Genesis Bakugan to make sure to deal as much damage as I can to my opponent. Now, the general game step goes as followed: the draw phase, the standby phase, the main phase, which combine the battle phase, the main phase 2, and the end phase. I will explain each of them easily. Now, the first part is the draw phase. Like normally with the TCG, you draw a card, choose a card from your hand, and energize it. In the opposite of the Genesis, which you choose one card, you draw one card, you choose one card to discard, and then you draw 2 extra cards to add some more power into your hand and more choice of ability to activate during your turn. That's the draw phase. The standby phase brings the ability of activating a single card, the generic ability card. These are those green cards that you can only activate during your standby phase. That will declare the action of your main phase 1, being the activation of 3 other ability cards, because that's how it works. Of course, you can decide to activate an ability card during your main phase as well, but it has to be with the fact that you weren't able to activate one during your main phase. Now, during your main phase, you have 3 possible cards that you can activate. You have the attack card, the special attack card, and the fusion card. So, first of all, the attack card can be activated after you activate a normal ability card during your main phase. Your standby phase, that means this one. And this one can actually, depending on its effect, could add to the effect of the ability card that you activate during the turn, or can decide to actually prevent your opponent to activate his own ability. The following card that you can activate after the attack card is the special attack card, which, like the attack card, will provide yourself with either more power to defeat your opponent Bakugan's power, or with the ability to nullify Bakucore ability, a gate card ability, or even a Bakugan ability. The third card of the main phase is the fusion card, which is the card that will declare the end of the main phase, but at the same time will create maybe some damage to your opponent as well as boosting your Bakugan. It's a basic general rule. The main phase 2, because yes, those step looks are actually exactly the same as the Yu-Gi-Oh game, due to the fact of the many different ability cards that can be activated during the game. So the main phase 2 brings up 2 other cards that can be activated, but each of these cards can only be activated once per turn. So you either have the ultimate ability cards or the legendary abilities. Now, the ultimate abilities are these ones, these golden gear abilities. those are considered to be the pinnacle of power into the game of Bakugan, being the ultimate form of attack. They can be activated during the main phase too, and also be able to create damage or cancel some ability that your opponent have before the end of the turn and the start of a new turn. It pretty much goes the same with the legendary ability, but these ones are extremely special because they are unique to their own element. Each element has a special ability attached to it. And also these two cards, that's something very important, cannot be nullified by any card effect. And that's something that I forgot to say as well, because I just forgot, sorry about that. The normal card that you activate during your standby phase cannot be nullified either. If I remember, yeah. These cards are considered to be automatic effect and cannot be negated by any other card effect. So if you say, for an example, that you have a card that says, oh, I will cancel the ability of a card to make sure I don't get any damage, doesn't work with this one. These cards are considered to be automatic activation. Like you don't have any other choice but to activate at least one. And finally, after you have mastered all the different phases, comes the main phase to go back into a next turn. Also, here's something else that you need to know. The way to win change with the different version that you play. Due to the fact of the Doom card, the way to win change from to another form. AKA, I have to defeat, or you have to defeat, all the team. So let's say, for an example, I'm able to defeat all 3 Bakugan of my opponent without reviving any of them. That would mean that I win the game because he doesn't longer have any Bakugan to play for him, and vice versa. If my opponent is able to defeat both my Bakugan without me being able to revive any of them, the game will be over. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, those are the basic rules that I wanted to share with you guys. The more consistent rules about it. If you have any other question, you could go directly on the Facebook page of the Bakugan Montreal community to see the entire list and see even the picture that I posted with them to explain how they work inside of the game. Therefore, see you next time, guys. Have fun, enjoy your games, and stay safe. Bye bye.